Hi, everyone. I'm Rafe Needleman in San Francisco. Welcome to a special edition of Reporters Roundtable. So, Google this morning just announced a major redesign of its social network product, Google+. Now, Google+, of course, is not Google's first try to build out a social network. Other products that company has experimented with include Buzz, Orchid, and to an extent Wave. But Google+ seems to be the company's line in the sand. This is the product that Google seems to be saying, we will do whatever it takes to make this social network product really stick. There are two key people behind this initiative over at Google. They are Vic Gundotra, who's the Senior Vice President of Social at Google, and Bradley Horowitz, who's the VP of Product for Google+, and they're both with us today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making the time to join us on your relaunch day. It's good to have you here.
You're welcome, and very nice for you to have us on the show, Ray.
So I want to get started with a little bit of background on Google+. This thing is not even a year old. Tell us briefly why you launched it and what you've learned in these last several months.
Yeah, I mean, it's we just celebrated about 2 weeks ago our 6-month anniversary of opening up to the public. So we're about 6 months and a few weeks old, and it has been quite a ride. You know, this morning we announced we've had 170 million people upgrade to a Google Plus profile and start using our product. Mm-hmm. And so we've been kind of blown away by the progression and the progress that we've made. As you pointed out, we've had other social efforts in the past. We've learned a lot from those efforts, and we've really tried to make Google Plus something special. And we've just been thrilled at the adoption and at the rate people are upgrading to Google Plus.
I have to ask you about the numbers. The numbers that are been thrown around right now. You've got 100 million users. This morning, 170 million people have upgraded. What do those numbers really mean? I mean, how many people are actually using Google Plus, not just seeing the little update icon every day or every week or every month?
Yeah, you know, I think in order to answer that question, you really got to understand what Google Plus is. And Google Plus is really the unification of all of Google's services with a common social layer. And so if you think about today, products people love like YouTube or Android or Gmail or Search, your identity is different in every one of those cases. If I take a picture of my wife on Android and I want to share it with my family, how I do that and how I do that on Gmail or how I upload a video on YouTube used to be completely different. Mm-hmm. Google Plus makes Google simplify by having a common notion of you, your identity, and then your relationships. And so as we take the services people know and love and unify them, then sharing that photo or that video with your family is exactly the same across YouTube or Android or Gmail. In fact, even endorsing a search link. Maybe you see an article on Parkinson's disease and you want your family to know that you're endorsing that article or sharing that article. You can do that in a very, very easy way. So I think where people get confused is we also, in addition to having a social layer across Google, have things like the Google Plus stream or the home, where you see common social posts. And when we say we have 100 million active users, which is an old statistic from last month, we really mean anyone using a Google property signed in as a Google Plus user and taking advantage of the social graph, seeing their friends' comments or themselves commenting or endorsing. So that's a pretty stunning number, we think, in just a little over 6 months, and we couldn't be happier.
How many people actually go to plus.google.com and interact with it on the page like they go to facebook.com and interact with Facebook?
Well, I think when you talk about Facebook's numbers, Facebook releases numbers for Facebook usage, which includes Facebook photos, Facebook messaging, Facebook groups, Facebook tagging, Facebook likes. Facebook never talks about just the stream, right? Because that doesn't make sense. It's all integrated. When you tag someone in a photo or when you invite someone to an event, those are all part of the social experience. And so that's exactly what we're doing here. Of course, the numbers on the stream are incredible and growing every day. We hit new records. We hit another record again. And so it's thrilling to see that growth. But really, it's a misunderstanding of the Google Plus strategy to only focus on photos or only focus on messaging or to only focus on the stream. Then you're not getting the Google Plus strategy.
And Rafe, this really is in contrast to the products that you mentioned that are the historical legacy, things like Blogger or Buzz or Orchid, things that are social, but we're really sort of over to the side and not core to the Google experience. What we're doing with Google Plus, as Vic said, is unifying identity, relationship across all of Google. And we think any social network should have, for instance, a great messaging system. And we happen to have one at Google. It's called Gmail, and that is part of Google+. It should have great support for multimedia and video. We happen to have a great service called YouTube, which is also part of Google+. So thinking of these things separately is not the way we think about the Google+ strategy.
I get that. That's pretty clear. But it might be the way that people who are coming from other social products might be thinking of how they approach the social web.
We're seeing just the opposite. We're seeing Google users really love that fact that their Google experience from YouTube to Android to Gmail is becoming really simplified and unified. Now, we do acknowledge that there are some critics who would love to get technical and focus only on our photos or only on the +1 button, or but that's not the way users. We're focused on users. Our users, really, we look at the data, and we're absolutely thrilled with the adoption of services like Chrome and YouTube and Android, and bringing them together. Our users have consistently told us that's what they want, and the adoption numbers show it, and we're really excited about that.
Let's talk a little bit about the new design here. What was the problem you were trying to solve, or what were you trying to improve with the relaunch today of the interface for Google+?
Go ahead. I think there's a couple things that are exciting about the design. One is really around aesthetics and beauty. I think we have done something that sets a new bar for Google products in terms of its visceral experience, and we couldn't be happier with the response that we're getting. It's pretty gratifying. We sort of knew internally that we were onto something that was a big step function from where we were, but we're seeing very supportive articles in the press, and more importantly, feedback from users about this experience. I think in addition to the aesthetics, sort of the bones of our interface were due for a refresh, and we alluded to some of this in Vic's blog post. There's more coming, and we needed to sort of make space in an information architecture sense for where to put the new stuff that will be launching from now through the rest of the year. And this is a really durable framework that we're excited about, because it not only accommodates the product we have today, but all the features and improvements that we know are coming around the corner.
Yeah, frankly, when we launched a few months ago, we didn't have things like games or Hangouts or plus pages. There's so many things we've done in the last few months, and many more to come, as Bradley said, that we had to prepare for this and make an interface that's scaled. And then the other thing is we just never anticipated. Bradley and I and the team, no one ever dreamed a few months ago that we would have people on the service that would have millions of followers. Competitive social services took many years in cases before people had millions of followers. And because of the rapid growth, people were actually posting very high value content on Google+. And that content needed to look beautiful. We wanted not just the people who had 1 million followers, but for the people who were sharing with their family. We wanted them to have a place that they were proud of, where their content really shined and looked beautiful. And I think today's new and improved Google Plus is about both points, the one that Bradley mentioned, getting ready for all the new stuff that's coming and keeping up with our torrid growth, and the point about making it a great place for you to be proud of your content, how it appears to your friends and family, and just making something that has emotional resonance with people. That is something that's beautiful.
Picasso once said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal," and there have been many great social network artists that have come before you, Facebook, MySpace to an extent, Twitter, other products you've done. From these other services, other products, what aesthetics, what user interaction, what emotion have you tried to put into Google+, and how is it reflected in today's product?
Well, I think, as you point out, we're not sort of entering the market in a vacuum, and there are certain established gestures and paradigms and metaphors that users and the industry has developed over years. I think what we're trying to do is serve the user. So where existing paradigms make sense and there are sort of comfortable ways to convey information, we use those. Where there are new opportunities to do something more valuable, I think our hover cards are an example of something that is both beautiful and industry leading in terms of our ability to sort of allow you to mouse over any user's name and get really great representation of who that user is in relation to you. We'll set that new bar, and so I think it's a combination of sort of serving the user, not sort of vaulting them into unfamiliar territory that is going to disorient them, but finding improvements that actually make a material difference in their experience where possible.
And in much of the new stuff is not about the pixels. It's about providing a new and a better user experience for things people need to do. Before Google Plus, multi-user video with your family, where the camera would dynamically switch based on whoever was talking, those were only high-end systems or systems that you had to pay for. We made that simple and free. And so that's kind of an example where the user experience, we're focused on the user doing breakthrough things. I'll give you another example. Since you talked about existing social products, when we analyzed those products, we found some awkwardness. We'd often ask people, is there anything you don't like? And we often heard, well, I feel kind of awkward. My boss sent me an invite. If I don't accept it, I'm going to feel bad. But if I do accept it, he's going to see the pictures of me on the beach. And so we designed circles to deal with that awkwardness. You can add your boss to a circle. He never knows the name of the circle. You don't feel any socially awkward. You don't feel social awkwardness. You can share the right things with the right people. So our innovation is more than just the pixels. It's in the design. From Hangouts to circles, everything is really thought through to make it better for the user, enabling the user to share the right things with the right people.
One of Facebook's most powerful features is the idea of the like button. And we're seeing, in the case of Pinterest, for example, we're seeing that button migrate out of pages and into the toolbar. So people are pinning everything. Google Plus has the +1, yet it's still not completely integrated into the mainstream of what users are doing. Talk about the evolution of +1 and how important it is as a social signal.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. We're thrilled with the integration of +1. If you +1 something on CNET's article, it shows directly up into Google+. The integration is absolutely gorgeous, and it actually gives the user the ability to decide which circles that CNET article is going to go to. The coverage, the +1 button across the web has astounded us. I don't think any of us could have dreamed a year ago that the +1 button would be literally everywhere. And we're very humbled by the adoption. It certainly has exceeded beyond anything we ever imagined. You can go literally anywhere on the web and see that +1 button integrated.
Yeah, but I think one of the value propositions, Rafe, is that the +1 button gives you this opportunity to provide contextual value. Right now, if I +1 a toaster, that's probably not interested to the million or so people that have me in circles on Google+. You know when it is valuable to them? When they want to buy a toaster and they can go to Google and type in toaster and suddenly see an endorsement from someone they know, someone they trust. And so it sort of changes what used to be spam, this sort of inhibition that people have in sort of spamming their friends. It changes it into a gesture of generosity that they can actually label an endorsement for a product or a website or another person in a way that is generous and contributes to the relationships that they have.
I think the Parkinson's disease article I used earlier is an example of that. I don't want millions of followers that I have to see an article on Parkinson's disease because I injected it into my stream. But for my family who may be dealing with that issue, that's a great article. And I have the discretion of +1ing it, and then that's it. Then they see it when they do a search for Parkinson's disease, or I have the ability to actually push it into the stream, scope it to my family circle, and make a comment. We think this level of nuance, this level of dexterity and control is exactly what users want, and the data that we're seeing, the uptick in usage, the adoption by users, really tells us that we're onto something.
Let's talk about mobile for a little bit. Obviously, the world is moving to smartphones. How's the Google Plus evolution going on mobile devices, Android and iPhone in particular?
Well, I'm not sure, once again, we could have ever expected Android to have the success that it has. And remember, Google Plus is just a social layer across Google properties. And so as we take the services you see in Android and unify them so that sharing and identity is common across Gmail and YouTube and Android, I think users are going to absolutely love it. Of course, with Android, you're already logged in. Every user who uses Android is already logged in. And having that identity so that when you take a picture, and those pictures are automatically backed up, so that if you lose your phone, your pictures and videos are up there in Google+, and you can access them at all times. Even as you upgrade phones, you never lose a photo. I think that's the kind of magic that we're just getting started with. Wait till you see what we're going to go do next with Android.
What are you going to go do next with Android?
I just said you have to wait. We have a lot of surprises. But let me tell you, across the company, we are working to unify Google and make it more beautiful and delightful for users. We think automatically backing up your pictures on your phone for your eyes only for free is a kind of scenario that we can deliver to users that people just love and what they expect from Google.
Now, one of the things that you've done in this big social push at Google is you've actually removed some social features from other products like Reader. Obviously, there was a lot of thinking that went behind that. Talk about how that is part of the integration, the unification strategy.
Actually, we don't spend much time on things that are not absolutely core to what we're doing. And so Bradley and I are probably not the right guys to talk to you about Reader. We do have people on the team we can get who talk about Reader, but I suspect we're not even familiar in details about that product.
Okay,
we
now
really focus our time on things like Gmail and YouTube and Android and Chrome and search and ads, really the main focus of the company, and bringing those together in a magical way.
Now, privacy we have to talk about when it comes to social networks. No big online company has a perfect track record.
Us included.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So what is your philosophy here? How do you correct for missteps? Because you're going to make more in the future. We all are. And how do you square the need to protect users with Google's need to generate revenue?
Well, one of the things about having made mistakes is you become acutely sensitized to the topic of privacy. And I think that some of what we have been through as a company has given us an opportunity to ask, can we make the world's most privacy-considerate social network? It was part of the philosophy and underpinnings of Google Plus from the beginning. And it was a market opportunity, frankly. It was something that would be good for users, and they told us that they wanted. So the design of circles is a privacy-considerate feature. It allows me to expose parts of myself to the appropriate people in my life and protect parts of myself from others that I don't want to see it. So this is inherent in the very design of the system, and we're extremely proud of the privacy track record. We have had lots of people adopt Google Plus that have raved about the fundamental architectures that allow them to be authentic on the system because they know exactly who they're talking to at any moment. Vic has a line that I love, which is, there's a reason that there are frictions in systems. For instance, there's a reason every thought in my head does not come out of my mouth. That's a good thing. And what we've tried to do is present the same sort of contextual opportunities at every point of interaction in our system. So when you share, we always ask you, who is the audience? Are you sharing this with your family, the public? And we expect your behavior and what you say and your tone to be different in those contexts. And so that's a fundamental design philosophy of Google+. And I think that the lessons, the hard-won lessons that we have brought to this have informed the very design of the product. And it's actually quite hard for competitors to sort of bolt on these privacy-considerate features. They have to be thought of in a fundamental sense from the inception of the service. Okay. And it's something we're very proud of.
I have to ask you about the recent acquisition that Facebook made of Instagram. It was a very expensive acquisition, and it was arguably one of a big user base. What are your thoughts on photo sharing on Instagram and that particular acquisition?
I think those 12 people did very well.
Yes, and the users?
We'll see. We're really focused on delivering a great experience for Google users. As you might imagine, with Google users across Android and Picasa and Google+, the number of photos that our users are sharing is staggering. Mm-hmm. And Bradley and I and the team are focused on making that experience better. And that's where we're putting our energy.
All right, so finally, you've got a bunch of people, a whole lot of people, all of your 170 million users being upgraded today and the next day or so to Google+. What are the things that you would like people to look for in the new experience that you think will reflect most what you're talking about here?
Well, I hope that people appreciate the aesthetics of the experience, and that is sort of the first impression and the one that we're immediately getting tons of feedback about, and it's extremely gratifying. Again, these sort of phase shifts in product are often hard. Vic and I have both been through very many of them. Very few of them, in fact, none of them, in my recollection, have gone as well as the 6 hours since we launched this morning. Mm-hmm. So it's been really great to see the accolades and the acceptance of the community of something that is a big change for them. And I would invite them to really invest in the product, to play with the product. We're still in a mode where we have lots of opportunity ahead of us, and we're very good listeners. So the feedback we collect in response to our users very much informs the product strategy. And that's what I always love to see, are users who are engaged and vocal about what they love and what they'd like to see changed, because it really does give us opportunities to serve those users.
Yeah, and I think I would just say, we're going to keep up the speed of innovation that the world has seen over the past couple of months. We constantly hear from our users that one of the things that they find most delightful is not only the fact that we're listening, but the service itself is improving. I don't know too many services who barely 6 months after they've opened to the public do a major forward redesign. And I think that's just indicative of what they should expect from us going forward. Phenomenal rate of innovation and improvement, and we can't wait to show everybody what's coming next.
We will be watching. Thanks very much, gentlemen. Vic Gundotra is the Senior Vice President of Social at Google. Bradley Horowitz, VP of Product for Google+. Continued good luck. When will your rollout be complete? When will all users have this?
We think we've just completed the rollout to 100%.
Okay.
So if not 100%, we're almost there. Almost everybody should have the whole new redesign.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks very much for the time. Good luck.
Thank you.